and welcome. My name is Harrison Stebbins. I am the owner of Amazing Grace Private Home Care in Weymouth, Massachusetts, and we're here to talk about a group that I'm involved in called Resources to Remember. Resources to Remember is a group that came together about 15 years ago. I've got some of the founding members right here next to me, and we'll go and introduce them. It started out as a group that came together really because we saw the need to have professionals in the area, local professionals in the area that could be trusted, that we knew, and that we could refer them to other clients. Myself, I had several clients who would come to me and ask for referrals of whether it's elder law, end of life, a whole host of different professions in the senior industry. And so I remember one day I was given a business card of an elder law attorney who later that day, a client of mine asked if I knew any elder law attorneys, and I passed them the business card. As I passed it to them, I realized I didn't know this person at all that I was referring. So Resources to Remember is really a collection of professionals, local professionals in the senior industry. And what we do is come together so that we can learn about each other's industries and so that we can be better and better inform our clients. We've got a big event coming up, and that's what we're here to talk about on June 18th at the Abington Council on Aging at 10:30 a.m. on June 18th. And that's really what we're here to talk about today, and Resources to Remember and all of the resources and all of the things that provides. So the big event, as I said, it's on June 18th at 10:30. And the idea of it is called Ask the Experts. And the idea of it is that it's a way for seniors to get answers to questions that they might have about anything within the senior industry that helps them from retirement all the way to end of life. And it can be any kind of question. And the idea is to provide a low stress and non-sales environment. And that's really what it is we want to be able to answer questions, introduce ourselves, and then answer questions in a way that is not sales driven, because we're not here to sell our own businesses as much as we are to educate and inform seniors about the services that are available to them. Because I feel like so many seniors don't realize that there's all these services available, and they're worried about asking questions because they don't want, at best, to be have a hard sale put on them, or at worst be taken advantage of or ripped off. And that's what this is about. So what I want to do right now is introduce some of my esteemed colleagues and the representatives from Abington Council on Aging. Ellen, why don't you start out?
Sure. So Ellen Connors, CMG Home Loans, and I specialize in helping people assess their debt, mortgages, and specifically reverse mortgages. And it's really important to just educate people. Yeah?
Awesome.
And I'm Wendy. I work at Faring Way. I'm the Community Relations Director. And I've been in this field for about 25 years. And it's really because my grandparents were really near and dear to me. So I really like helping people and guiding people and letting them know where to turn. So having these guys in my back pocket to know I can count on Ellen and Harrison and the other members is critical. So that's me.
Absolutely. And now the representatives of the Abington Council on Aging, we're so excited to come on June 18th and excited to be there. So why don't you guys introduce
We're
yourselves?
excited to have this at the Council on Aging. My name's Amy Barrett, and I'm the director at the Council on Aging. And I'm also the Medicare specialist there. I'm the Shine Counselor there, outreach. And Robin and I had come to Faring Way to partake in this informational morning, and left praying that you took this show on the road. We need this. Our community needs this. Seniors need this. It's really big, important stuff. And we're thrilled that you're going to be coming to the Council on Aging to talk about this.
We're so excited
Yeah,
to be
thank
there.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Robin.
Yeah.
And my name's Robin LaRossi, and I am the assistant to the director at the Abington Council on Aging, along with the newsletter editor and other duties as assigned. Also, I believe when I went to this Resources to Remember, I felt as though caregivers, older children to seniors,
Adult
adult children
Sure.
and seniors really would find great information here
And could
in
benefit
these
from it.
resources. And that the program is at the Abington Council on Aging at 441
441
Summer Street.
Summer Street.
Abington.
We'll go through
Yeah.
all that. But
Yeah.
well, welcome everybody. This is exciting.
Welcome.
We should note that we're just kind of winging this. We really feel passionate about this and getting this information out there. This right here, we're also offering a light breakfast if that brings anybody else in. Always good to offer a little bit of food. But as I said, the most important thing about it is getting the information and understanding whether you have questions about. We have 17 members of the resources that have now joined the Resources to Remember group. And each member represents an individual profession within the industry, a specialist. So we have pharmacists, Olden Pharmacy in Weymouth, which is awesome. And it's a family-owned pharmacy. Again, everything from adult health, elder law. We've got, of course, Rob Romano, who always gets a ton of questions if you've got questions about elder law. And it's everything from when you're starting your retirement and your aging journey, as I said, all the way until hospice. We have Old Colony Hospice and palliative care. And hospice has a really bad rap as sort of a grim reaper, but it's really a way to access more services. And so you'll learn all of that when you come. And again, it's very much about creating an environment that is, I don't know, user-friendly, for lack of a better term. There's no hard sell. We're just there to answer your questions. And it's just a fantastic resource. And we really love doing it. And we've been doing it, I mean, we've been doing it for several years.
Yeah.
But this Ask the Experts has really come, that you saw, the one that you saw, really come together in the last year. And it's been extremely popular. We've done Council on Aging's. I don't want, not that they're competitors. I mean, I'm sure you guys
no,
work
we
together.
all work
I
together.
don't want to bring up like Milton Council on
No,
Aging.
we love
Now
them.
you'd be like,
It's
well,
okay.
we don't. So we've done Quincy.
Quincy.
We just did Weymouth, which was very popular. And we're selling at Quincy, Braintree. We got Situate tomorrow.
Yep.
We did. Who else did we?
Hanover.
Hanover we did. Pembroke we did.
Yeah.
Hingham we've done.
Yeah.
And we've been asked back because it's really just, we love doing it. We're passionate about it, and we want to educate seniors on all the resources that are available to them. So, Robin, you brought up a big point about how it's not just for seniors. It's about, it's for adult children who, many of the adult children, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. When I first started, it was mostly the seniors themselves that I was dealing with. None of them had computers or went online or anything like that. Now it's the adult children are much more involved, I feel like. And so technology, they're on their cell phones, they're online, and all of the information, this is we call it the rack card, I guess. This is our rack card. It's got all of our information. You can go on the resources2remember.com website and order one of these, or you can come to the event on the 18th and pick up some for yourself. And this has all of our information, each one of our contacts. It's got phone numbers, email addresses, websites. So it's a very, very, and we give brochures and all the stuff. So, Ellen, why don't I start with you? What have you found that is really helpful, and what do you enjoy about the Resources to Remember group and the presentation and on all of it? You've been such an integral part of, both of you have, I should really say, they've both been, none of this would have happened without both of you guys, and you've been such great leaders in putting this together. I'm just the person who gets up there and doesn't shut up, apparently. But Ellen, what have you found that is
Your sense of humor is
passionate?
top notch.
Well,
Yes.
You've been so passionate about this, both of you have. What do you find about this, both Resources to Remember and these events that we've started doing, these Ask the Experts events, that has really been helpful?
The collaboration of the other professionals is just amazing. I mean, I trust them, they trust me, and I think that that's really important to the seniors. I want to know when I'm referring someone that this is somebody that I would use, that I would recommend to my mom or my dad, or use myself.
Absolutely. I mean, I would
so,
refer anyone anyone on this card, and I have, to my family. So I think that's a great point. It's really about trust, and it's really about, whether you're getting your car fixed or getting a plumber, like 99% of it is just, can I trust the person? Are they going to give me an honest answer? And they're not going to try to push things on me that help themselves more than helping other people. So now, Wendy, you have been so instrumental in all this. You've come up with these great concepts. You did all this. Both of you did all this. It's been wonderful working with you. And what do you think is so important? Why is this so important to do it in this format? Because, I mean, this is so much of this you created.
I think it helps because we can connect with people that need to know who we are, who you can trust, who you can count on. Because like your experience around the same time, I had the same experience that I met somebody at a health fair who said, I'm in crisis. Everybody looks the same from here. And at that moment, the light bulb went off to say, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
People really need to know who to go to. They look the same. So by identifying ourselves and knowing there's, a lot of home care agencies, but to know Harrison's the guy that's going to connect with you. You can count on him. You can trust him. You can go to him and count on his staff. So to make that connection is critical. People need guidance. Sometimes they're calling us when they do hit crisis mode.
So often. This is a great point about how we, not to jump in, but it's a great point that so many times, and I'm sure you see it with your community, so many times people wait until they're in crisis, and then you're up against it, and you have to make a decision quickly. And so you don't always make the best decision because you can't think through it.
They're afraid. I find that's what they're afraid. They're afraid to talk to the wrong person. They're afraid to ask the questions. There is a fear in trying to find out things. They've heard, reverse mortgages. Where you can't reverse mortgage, but actually they're not listening. They need to listen more, and they need to trust the people that are talking to them about these topics. That is the biggest thing. We're fortunate that we live in a community where we are constantly dealing with local attorneys and local, companies, and we love them and support them. They're amazing. This happened to be something that if an adult child called us and said, I've got 6 different problems here and I don't even know where to start. This is invaluable information. And it's not something we didn't realize until we actually sat through it, how critical having all of this together and having people that can refer one to another actually really is. And this was quite eye-opening for us as people that work with this demographic every single day.
Every day.
We know what the problems are, and people are staying home longer. Adult children want to keep their parents home longer.
People are living longer.
And I mean, that's just, and so there are so many things and so many questions just because they haven't dealt with most of this ever. So it's their first time. Where do we go? We don't want to who wants to make a wrong decision when it comes to their parents that they love, right? They want to know that they are heading in a good direction. And when we found out this information, we felt very comfortable in that if somebody came to us, we would say, oh, you can call ABCD, you can call this, resources to remember. And if one can help, the other one will be able to help and point you in exactly where you need to be, the direction you need to be.
Well, as we're talking, Robin, you and so when you were there, you noticed that even if the question isn't about my specific industry of private home care, I can usually answer questions about other things. So that even if there's not someone specific on our panel that represents an industry that you might have questions about, we can always answer those questions, and we can refer you to somebody that can help. What we do when we present the Ask the Experts is I get up, I do a little shtick, and then we kind of start with when you're living at home. And I don't know if you realize the way it was breaking down. You start with when you're at home, and the services that you might need when you're living at home, because so many people are trying to stay, and you want to stay in your home. I mean, who doesn't want to stay home,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But we can also go wherever home is.
Right.
And we start with the resources that could be helpful at home, and then as you're realizing that maybe it's not, you know, it's a lot of work. I mean,
And it's not
living
manageable. That is what I should have added to that. That
Yeah.
is the thing. They have to go through these steps. This is a process.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, and they feel like they owe it to their loved ones to actually go through these steps.
Yeah.
That is really important. And that is why starting and going and the next and the next and the next.
starting with home, and then once you realize
Long
there might be a hospitalization, which can always be a
100%.
game changer, as
Sure.
we know, if
Yeah.
there's a
Right.
fall
Yep.
or something happens,
Yep.
and that's the crisis
Yeah.
that we oftentimes
Yeah.
see ourselves in,
Yeah.
see seniors in, and that's where we're brought in to help. But it's always, you always in the back of your head are thinking, I wish we had had a little more time to organize
Right,
this.
right.
Of course, we're always there to help in a crisis
Sure,
situation.
of course.
But you tend to not make the clearest decisions when you're in that position. So we start from the home, and then if there's a hospitalization, or if you're just realizing that it's too much to manage at home. I mean, I have so many helped so many people, and I know, Ellen, I'm sure you've helped a lot of people where they're just, it's not that they were no longer able to live at home. It's just, you've been lived in the home for 50, 60 years. It's hard managing a home. It's expensive. Mowing the lawn, fixing the windows, fixing the roof. There's so many things that
Taking
can
trees
come up.
down.
Taking trees
So
down.
that's always a big
Hopefully
one.
a tree doesn't
Right,
fall
right,
down,
right,
and you got to deal with that.
Right.
And then being alone.
Yeah.
That's just
That's a great
isolating
That's a great
themselves, which is great to know. They can go to the Abington Council on Aging. They can socialize. They're there 5 days a week, you know?
Right.
But just to know that there are places and resources within our group that if they needed more, they're feeling lonely, they need support, they need a support group because they're now widowed, life has changed. We have resources within ourselves to help them, to guide them.
Right.
This is all about guidance, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
We want to help people. And for me, when I'm working with a family, I hate when they feel like they're coming to a dead end. And for me, I can always spin off to say there's somebody on that card that can help them. If my place isn't the right place for them, I know somebody on that card that can help them find the
That
right
was one of the
place.
things that we noticed is every single person that spoke that day was all talking about somebody else. You all are in
we've all worked
very
together.
similar,
Yeah.
you know,
it was really eye-opening
yeah.
and refreshing to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that there was a group out there.
But we
then-
like each other. I mean,
Yeah,
that's at the
yeah,
end of the
and
day.
it was
Not only
obvious.
do we
It was
trust
very
each other,
obvious. That's why
like
we
each
wanted
other.
you
And-
guys.
and we've all worked together on different cases and different scenarios. One of the hardest things that I've learned in this business is that there's really no handbook. I mean, there's no step-by-step. You never know what the next emergency or the next crisis is going to be. So you're always, you know, you're always trying to, there's no way you, sort of a chart where you look, okay, this happened and this happened, this is the solution.
Right.
Right.
There's so having a number of different resources that I can go to and that I can lean on is so helpful. And my own business, private home care, oftentimes we get calls with cases that I might be very busy. I don't take on a case that I can't take on 110%, but I will help that person find the solution with another trusted company that I work with. So it's not just within resources to remember. We all know we all work with other people that we can trust and we can refer. So, but I think that's the biggest part of it is just trust and knowing that you're talking to someone that's going to do what's best for you and not necessarily not what's best for them.
yeah.
And I think we're always learning from each other. You know, that's sort of another thing that connects everyone in the group
Yeah.
is that it's never enough. It's like, oh, what's new out there and how can, you know,
How can we work
learn it
together?
ourselves about everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you and I worked on a
Yeah.
case. I remember one time where
Yeah.
the gentleman wanted to stay here, just lost his wife, and we
Yeah.
had cared for his wife. And then once he lost his wife, his health immediately declined, which I'm sure you've seen before, because as you said, Wendy, suddenly he's alone.
Yeah.
And that loss of socialization is so devastating. But he wanted to stay at home, and he had a good support network. So I called you, and we worked together to keep him in his home. We got him set up with a reverse mortgage, and it took a little while, and he had racked up some bills with me. So I kept calling you like, I do need to keep, well, the bills are getting up there. I remember by the time I got it, it should have been like one of those PGA checks, the big checks. But because I was working with you, I knew that I was working with her. I knew that I could trust that was going to happen, and it allowed him to stay in his home. And his family was so happy with the services that we provided. But you were able to save him and keep him home, and that's not always the case. A lot of times we find that once there's a loss, that they want to move because. It's, Faring Way, for instance, offers so many socialization opportunities. It's not just, 3 hots and a cot. It's really about all the activities that you provide and the engagement from playing cards or just having dinner with somebody. That's so important.
So important.
When you're younger, you take for granted so much of your ability to call up friends or family and socialize. But that's not always the case, and I don't mean to be morbid, but I know in my experience talking to so many seniors who live into their 90s and beyond say that the hardest thing about getting that old is not losing your mind or losing the ability to function physically. It's losing everybody that you love. And we, as younger people, take for granted that we always have people that we can call, hopefully. And so it's I think socialization is the point you brought up is so important. And anyway, going back to, you were going to say something, Wendy.
Yeah, I was going to say what I have found, because I've been doing this for probably as long as you have.
Yeah, we started together 15 years ago.
15 years
so
ago.
that's when we met each other.
It's a good thing, But what I've recognized is when you're growing up, you have your family, right? And you have your friends from school. You have that structure so far. And then you go to college, and then you have your own family, and you have your career. And then you're in your big house, but now the kids have moved out. They're having kids of their own. Life is evolving, and then suddenly you're in this house alone, and you've lost structure because you're no longer working. Now you're retired, and you're missing that structure. So I think a lot of families or a lot of people that reach out to me, they're looking for a sense of belonging again. They're alone, they're isolated, and it's wonderful to have resources like the Abington Council on Aging so they can go to lunch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, see their friends, like your group of teachers that go there. I love them.
Amazing, the retired teachers in Abington.
Yeah. And then they play a game. I can't remember the game. Cribbage. Huge cribbage.
Bingo.
Huge, right? So, but there's so many things they just want to belong and be part of something again because they've had structure, frankly, their entire lives. And now they're looking for something more, and so we've got great resources, again, whether it's a place like Faring Way, coming to the senior center, or anything else.
If you need a little more assistance, if you need memory care, we have all those resources. Let me ask you both something. We had talked about other Council on Agings that we've brought this presentation to. I think it's important to ask, if someone's not from Abington, are they still able to come to the Abington, to this event? Are they still able to benefit from, because we've been to the Abington Council on Aging. If you've never been there, even if you're not from Abington, check it out, because it's a beautiful community.
It's awesome.
And it's really vibrant. I feel like everybody in there is
Really
passionate.
active community center.
Active and passionate about what they're doing, and even the seniors there are so engaging and it's a very vibrant
It definitely
and a fun place.
It's an active community
So,
there. Yep, very active. They are
We've
terrific.
invited Whitman, East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Bridgewater, Rockland, and I think
Pembroke.
Pembroke, okay.
they went to Pembroke.
So there's
So
a lot
I've
of
invited
different.
everyone.
Oh, so we got a big
And
group
we knew
coming.
somebody in every place. I
was
knew
one of the
people
buildings,
in
outreach
every
people.
in every
Oh, that's
council.
great.
I knew someone.
Well, the
Or maybe
Council on
two.
Aging, it's such a fantastic, sometimes maybe two, did you say?
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Council on Aging is such an incredible resource, and it really brings a lot of joy to. I'm lucky enough to still have both both my parents, and my mom was just saying that she went to Council on Aging in her town, up in Newton, and she was like, "I took Tai Chi,"
Yeah.
and she was so excited.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, that
It's amazing.
so getting engaged again. But as we said, I think a lot of it is not just about learning a new hobby or something. It's more about meeting new people and exchanging experiences, and being able to share your experiences is so important. So
I love that you've got pickleball courts right outside your center,
Yeah.
lots of them, and then the dog
dog
park right
It's also
there.
right there.
So you can go, you can enjoy life, whether you've got a dog, you want to learn a new activity, or come on in and do something new and meet new people, make
there
new
are
friends.
so many classes going on. There's a million things going on. It seems like every day there's lots of things going on, and we encourage everybody, our members that come to the Abington COA, all utilize all the local centers. They go to chair yoga in Abington, and then they take it on Tuesday over in Rockland and Wednesday over in Whitman, and they're all interchanging. The population is there; they all interchange. So
Yeah, the
it's
word's
really
out.
great. Yeah.
Words out.
word's out.
Can we talk a little bit
We're
about
trending.
pickleball? This is an obsession. It's come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's the craziest
Yeah.
name, but people love it,
Yeah,
and they're
pickleball
crazy
is really
about
big
it.
right now. The pickleball, they have their own association.
Oh,
So-
okay. So
Yes.
they're not playing games.
No, they have their own association, and they're super busy in the mornings, and then it's a little bit quieter in the mid-afternoon,
afternoon.
and then it amps back up again around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's
But
wild. Well, that's great.
Yeah, they have beautiful
I have
courts.
to. I have to try it at some point because I know so many people love it.
Yeah.
Anyone who ever picks up a pickleball racket
Yeah.
doesn't put it down.
No, they love it.
paddle? Is it a paddle or is it a racket?
A paddle.
It's a paddle.
I think. Yes.
some sort.
Yes.
Okay.
I
well,
believe.
the next show we'll do a call-in and we can ask.
I would like
Call
to get
in
that
and
information
make
myself.
suggestions about.
Love it.
So anyway,
hysterical.
yeah, again, I hope this has been great. I don't. Is there anything else we want to touch on?
Yes.
I think this is great, and it's so important. Then, so Wendy, jump in, please.
So,
Babbling on.
At our last event, we were in Weymouth about a month or so ago, and I happened to leave the room at the end of the presentation, and I was coming back in as people were exiting, and I said, "How was it? What did you like about this? What did you get out of it?" And there was one person, and she said, "I just turned 65. I love this." She says, "I think that this should be Senior 101. Anybody, as they turn 65, should attend this event." She's like, "It's critical."
We felt like we're not 65 yet, but no, definitely not
It's
65.
way off. I know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
We love 65-year-olds. We're not 65 yet, but we felt exactly the same way.
Yeah.
When we came out of there, we were like, we have to bring this back. Roadshow. She wrote on a piece of paper, roadshow,
Because I can't talk.
because we couldn't listen and write talk. But that was the first thing we thought.
Yeah.
I hope they take this show on the road because this is everything. This is
So
everything that everybody needs to know. And I don't even feel 65-year-old people. This should just be
All people.
part of the repertoire.
All people.
Aging people, period, should have this information. Everything
nice
that
to
we
hear.
do, it's true.
It's nice to
And
hear.
everything that we do in outreach, everything that we do in the building, every person that comes in, their questions all revolve around everything that's right there. And it's just nice to have felt that way, to come out of something like that. And we all knew everybody. We knew Paul Hackett, who's from Oldens.
Oh, he's the best.
Lives in
He's great.
Abington.
He's
They're from
helped me.
Abington.
helped
He's
me.
an Abington guy. So we knew him right away. And then knowing that Paul knew all of you, immediately we were like, oh,
Well, there,
I mean,
yeah.
they know Paul works with these people and is part of this. And so this was important. This is really important. It's
Great. And
Yeah,
it's
so
been-
thank you. We appreciate you.
The feedback has been so positive. It seems like every event that we do, people come out of it and say, "This is great. You know, we absolutely love this." I know that Weymouth, the one we did at Weymouth too, if you remember, the Hornet got into the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had a little extra entertainment because I was running around trying to get this Hornet and smack it with these things, which aren't great at smacking Hornets, but we did actually get it out of the room.
Good. You set it free.
And
Very important.
speaking of Olden's Pharmacy, it's so great to work with a pharmacy that's not one of the big box pharmacies because it's such a different experience. And when you go into Olden's, it's like you're looking for like the malt shop. It looks like
Hackett's are the
it
best.
reminds you of
The best.
and they're such nice people. And they don't just help with medications, but they're great if you have any equipment, if you need to order any equipment. This is a story, it's a little, I hope this doesn't go over the wrong way, but it's sort of along the lines of anything can happen. So I needed to order a bariatric commode. Do you know what a bariatric commode is? It's for someone who's a little bit larger. And it came up because we had a client who was a larger gentleman, and he sat down on the commode and it got stuck on him. So he stood up and it was sticking to his hips and he was moving around like this, and my caregiver called me and said, I don't know what to do here. And I said, I don't really know what to do either. I said, sit back down, we'll get him out of that, and then we'll call up Olden's and we'll get a bigger,
get him
bigger
one.
commode.
Yep.
And Olden's had it within 24 hours.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
that's
really
great.
great. And
So-
they follow up, and it's
And this community is used to that type of hometown. We had a pharmacy in town. The whole town was up in arms actually when they
sad
went
that
out.
they got close
They
to
went out. No, they just made a decision to,
Yeah.
But again, this is a smaller community. We are very community based in this town, and this. Again,
important.
we have so many people that we
No,
work
Paul's
with and
right
that
down
we
the
love,
street.
and so this was all great.
And it's so important to have local professionals, people that you're dealing with on a local level. I mean, the big box pharmacies are great for certain things, but when
Sure.
you have questions and all those medications, I mean, so many of our clients and so many of all of us are on all these medications and how they all interact, and when you go to a place like some of the big box stores, they don't know you're some kids just slinging you pills. But when you're at Olden's, they really take the time to talk to you. And they can do vaccinations and flu shots.
All the things.
I've even seen Paul go to an apartment, knock on the door, and not only did he have medication or whatever it was he was delivering in the bag, he had their coffee from Dunkin' Donuts the way they like it. Like,
They're
that's
the
the
best.
service you want,
You never
right?
did that for me.
Well,
I mean,
I got to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
I got to talk to him about that. I'm trying to think of other certain little tidbits. I mean, there's a lot of little things that, what we hope, I think, when people come to this event is not just to be able to ask questions, but to learn something and be educated about certain things that they might not have known. Geriatric care management is one. There's professionals that can help you manage all of the different, the doctor's appointments and the medications and all of that sort of thing. Move management specialist, Janan is great in helping you downsize. I mean, it's so hard when you're moving out of that house that you've lived in for 50, 60 years. You raised your family there, and it's so hard to sometimes to not just, it's one thing to pack it all up. It's another thing to go through it emotionally and to go through the kids' memories. I remember my mom, speaking of my mom, did not have a problem. She dropped off a box at my house with my little pinch pots and my little, remember the little turkey you made with the fingers and the macaroni, the Christmas ornament with the macaroni.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want it anymore. You're old now. I said, I don't want it. So it wasn't hard for her, but for some people, it is hard to give up. And when you're getting rid of a lot of stuff, you just don't want it to end up in a landfill. And she does a great job of donating things and giving back and making sure that all of your furniture and things that you might not necessarily need go to someone who could use it.
course.
So again, those are just some of the resources that we talk about.
she also helps you move in. So if they use her service, I mean, she can do as little as what mover do you recommend to as much as you want, like hanging the pictures in the apartment, putting things in the silverware drawer, getting things settled. So like I used a service very similar to Janan's once, and it was like the next day after moving in, I just woke up. There were no boxes to deal with.
That's great.
It was like, okay, what am I going to do today? Was not worrying about how am I going to get through all of this.
Right.
it was one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, and it's so, it helps you sort through all the emotions of it too. And they can help you if someone's moving from a big home into Faring Way and they're moving into their beautiful new space. They can, as you said, you just show up and they've taken care of everything and they've made it look like the living space because it's all your furniture, it's all your wall hangings.
Yeah, they plan
so
for you.
Really, you show up, and I know you've told me in the past that people have opened that door and they start crying because they thought it was going to be so different, and then they see all of their things there and remember them, and it's just, so it's great. Alas, I mean, you know, things, the difference between subacute rehab and acute rehab, all of these things are questions that people don't even know that they need to ask.
Right.
And I think one other point that I will mention is that if you do have questions, we ask that you ask the questions with the whole community, because so many people we found in the audience might not be comfortable asking questions, or will just benefit. They didn't know that they needed the answer to that question, and then someone asked it, and everybody can benefit. But if you're there and it's very personal, we also stress that if it's very personal and you don't want to bring it up, you can ask one of us or the representative that you might want to talk to, pull them aside and say, this is my situation. Because obviously we want everyone to benefit from every question, but there's certain questions that you might not feel comfortable sharing with the community, and so we can help answer those as well. Anything else? I mean, I know that's a lot to go through, but I hope that this has been educational. We really hope to see you on June 18th at 10:30 at the Abington Council on Aging at 441 Summer Street in Abington. We will have cookies there. So we're going to have a light breakfast, exhibition tables, Q&A, panel presentation.
Market basket donuts.
Market basket donuts
Yes.
we will have there.
Best.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be very educational. Thank you guys all for coming and talking to us, and thank you for putting up with us rambling on. But come on June 18th. It's going to be fantastic. 10:30 at the Abington Council on Aging. We are Resources to Remember. My name's Harrison Stebbins, and this is the group. One more time, everybody, say who you are, and then we'll get on out of here.
So Ellen Connors, CMG Home Loans.
I'm Wendy Witrowski, aka Wendy, from Faring Way, which is independent living in South Weymouth.
And I'm Amy Barrett. I'm the director at the Council on Aging in Abington.
And I'm Robin LaRossi, and I am the assistant director of the Abington Council on Aging.
Thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful. We'll see you on the 18th.